Happy Saturday to everybody. Finally making good progress on this thing. Now that the days at work are much shorter, it's now well, it's gonna be planting season before too long. So the biggest reason I was doing this at this step in the game, well, one, any free minute you get, you might as well put towards the goal. And two, I wanted to get these tanks off of my tender trailer, which I also use as a flatbed trailer. So we got them in their final spot, everything else ready to go. We're just mucking around now here in the shop on this lovely Saturday afternoon. We got close to 2 inches of rain here in the last 24 hours. So planting is going to be in the future, but not quite yet. So what I'm doing now, I'm working on putting some bracing on here. So I got this piece cut to the front. If you'll remember, these legs here, the front corners, are at a slight angle. So I just took a piece of angle iron, set these up there on a shelf, got some good welds on there. Now I'm going to come around to the back side. Weld there on the center, and then once we're done in here, as far as welding the center up, then we'll put the side bracing on. Now that won't require the angle iron. That'll just go on there like that, go up here in the corner, wedge in there. We'll run an ice weld bead right down the corner of those two pieces of 2x3. It'd be nice and sturdy. I'm not sure if I really needed it. I just want to. Yeah, I just want to do it. Have a little bit of extra sturdiness under here with that kind of weight up top. So without further ado, let's get started. Well, for the most part, we've got the frame done. So, and slowly, our mess is getting cleaned up. I didn't say it was cleaned up. But anyway, now we are going to turn our attention to this fan that came the other day that was all wrapped up. That's what was on the pallet. This is off of what are those, 1910s? Something of that. I think they're John Deere 1910s. I think that's what the new air carts are. But this is the CCS fan for that. Biggest reason we went to this is because of that round port. Much easier to get the air from that round port to the round ports that are going to be on the Kinsian trainers. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. Biggest thing here is we got to take this assembly and put it up there. So first place I'm going to try is going to be on the hitch frame. See how that looks. If that fails, then that little notch out there under the tank is where it'll go. But I'd really like to keep it all kind of compact in there just to make things a little cleaner. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but just to make it look cleaner. You know, because I love things clean and tidy. Yeah. Hey, it's tax season's just getting over with, all right? Give a guy a break. But anyway, what I got to do is separate this assembly from the bottom. This piece down here where my foot is, it's actually, it appears to be aluminum. I wondered when it was, you know, over a ½ inch thick. I was like, man, that seems kind of thick for steel, especially when the plate up here that actually holds the fan is, you know, maybe, yeah, it is, ½ inch. So what I'm going to do is separate it there. That'll be the part that we, honestly, I think we're going to weld. So let's see what we can do, all right? Get you all positioned up there. Let's see how fun this is. I think it's 15/16. I'm pretty sure. And I'm right. Yeah. Good luck trying to separate. That one's loose. Tell you what I'm gonna do. That one's loose. That one's loose. It's got a. I really didn't use my hand as a hammer, because you know you're not supposed to do that. Just giving it a little tap is really all this required. Is that aluminum? God, it feels like it, but I don't know. Don't think it's weldable. I know that. Just does not feel weldable. Well, through the magic of YouTube, got the CCS fan mounted up on here, and we were able to go with the original thought of putting it just to the right, at least to the right if you're looking at the cart from the front. Put it to the right of our power pack. This is really becoming cluttered. Trying to keep it as streamlined as possible, but yeah, it is what it is. But these fans are mounted in such a way, it's I think that's, yeah, ½ inch steel. Just comes down, it's got a 90-degree bend, and is bolted onto that piece that yesterday, I'm sure all you guys were laughing, it just looked like aluminum. It really did. And how the paint was reflecting off of it. And honestly, this part, believe it or not, was the lightest of the whole assembly. And this is cast aluminum. Maybe I was just tired, I don't know. But once I separated these two, and it was fully separated, it's like, how in the heck did I mistake that for aluminum? Must have been tired, breathing too many welding fumes, something. So yeah, I'll admit it, I'm stupid. So plus these welds on here, it just looked, for something that came out of a factory, it just looked, I don't know, whatever. But it is weldable. I'm welding this piece, which came off of the 1910 air cart, welding it here onto the frame. I just got this bolted on there. That was real fun to get up there, which is part of the reason I didn't film it, is, well, I needed both hands. And even with the magnet that's on this battery box that I have the GoPro mounted to, it just wasn't feasible. It really wasn't. And it was dark. It is what it is. Anyway, Let's look at the piece we just cut over there on the saw. Alright, so I got my skill saw all set up to make a couple 45-degree cuts. Actually, I already made one here on this inch-by-inch square stock. You'll see in a moment here what I'm doing with this piece. But for right now, let's put our safety glasses on and see what this old worm drive saw can do. Not bad for a saw designed for wood. I'm just using the, I think those are made by Evolution. But the blade is within the RPM limit. And these old worm drive, well, I shouldn't even call them old. You can buy these. This worm drive design has enough torque to cut right through that steel. So anyway, let's go put this over on the cart. Got our two little 45 degrees, and I'm gonna put that dead center on there as a little brace. And the reason being is, look at this thing. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that whole thing just wants to bounce around, and I don't know if that's gonna do anything or not. I really wish I could go up there, but at least it'll provide some reinforcement. So without further ado, I say let's fire up the welder, finish getting that welded on, finish welding that, or start welding that, however you want to phrase it. And then I think it's time we go over to the other side and get our pumps somewhat mounted up. So let's get started. Alright, armchair engineers. I know that's what I am. Tell me that ain't better. Let's take a look. No, it's going to need a repaint, but I'd say that did the job. Nice and sturdy. Still vibrates a little bit, but you're going to have that no matter what you do, given how they designed that. So now, for the most part, the mechanical stuff, oh nope, mechanical stuff isn't on. We still need the pumps, gonna go in that area, and we need the brain box somewhere in here. All right, so this came off of a DB60, and basically, from what I'm told, is it was the brain box for that planter. Had the fold up, I guess, relays in there, the different modules for monitoring and population and rate control. It's all in there. Now, before you go, whoa, why couldn't you just build something like that? Why'd you go buy it? Well, simple, guys. I really didn't just go buy it. This came in basically a big tote of parts. All the pro shafts that we're going to use on this, some of the pro shaft gearboxes that we're going to use on this project, all of that was with this, or vice versa. And I basically got that tote for next to nothing. There's some other, I think there are airbags in there. That was the other big thing. that we're going to use on this project. But basically someone was upgrading their DB60 with precision planting parts, and they stripped the whole thing down and just redid everything to their liking and just kept the bar. It's my understanding anyway. I don't know. I paid next to nothing for it. So I say, let's try to get some use out of this, because I think that'd be a nice little storage cabinet for our ag leader modules. So a lot of people just leave those out in the open. I think you're asking for trouble when you do that. So let me find a good spot to put the camera while I do this. I'll take you along for the ride of figuring out what's inside this dumb thing. Or smart thing, I guess. Being a brain box and all. You know, I better get it. A little magnet dish. Alright, last one. Who wants to bet on whether or not there's a mouse nest in here? Or maybe an active mouse nest, right? Have like 30 little mice come running out. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna have that problem. The thing looks like it's got a good seal on it for keeping the weather out. Let's just see, I guess. Let's see what's even in here. Holy. Well, I thought there was a seal, but there is not. But I tell you what. That looks like there's some brains in there. I'll be darned. Alright, so we got these units out of there. There's 4 of these EPM modules in here. I'm actually going to try to see if anybody out there is in need of these. That doesn't always mean anything in computers, but they don't look bad. It's funny, because we have no idea. It's just because they look new and sparkly doesn't mean anything. They have a date code of 2012 on them. So being in computers, I don't know. It's kind of old. But also with that said, a couple of the ag leader modules that we're using are from the early 2010s in the same date range. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to remove this black box, see what the final words were when the planter crashed. No, not funny? Yeah, probably not. I have no idea what any of these modules do. The only thing I do know, I priced out those EPMs that I just showed you. Each of those, I'm showing anywhere from $400 to $600 a piece. Used ones go for like $3 to $4. That's just a quick Google search. Here's a picture. Google come up with a result. Part numbers match. But like I said, that's kind of putting numbers together here in my head going, holy moly, imagine a planter that had all this on it. It's I don't know, it's a sobering thought. Not sure I would want that. Well, wait a minute, that's what we're building. That must be what they call a wedge. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there that can identify that, but just how that box is put together, it almost looks like a wedge. 2 wedges put together. So I'm wondering if that's what, when I go on these tech forums, precision forums, whatever, I wonder if that's what they're referring to as a wedge box when they say a John Deere wedge box. If any of you know, comment down below. Alright, I'm going to keep tearing this apart and just gut this thing. And then we'll have a nice little cabinet for all of our ag leader stuff so that we can continue to make engineers mad on this channel. Whether that be cobbling up a nice air cart or just totally destroying a red planter and putting green row units on it, or putting Kinsey parts onto a flex coil cart. This thing is surely becoming something. Okay, so we got our Bauer built brain box all gutted and awaiting a brain transplant. That'll come in the form of ag leader. Hopefully we can reuse some of these old rackings to put our new ag leader modules in. Well, new to us anyway. I got this set up at a slight angle. I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not. 2 thought processes here. One, we're gonna keep these openings. The more I thought about it, I'm gonna keep these Deutsch grommets that go in there. That way our cables have something nice to ride on. And in addition to that, if any water were to get into here, I want a way for this to drain. And I noticed, I don't know if you can see that or not, there's some drain holes here at the back of this thing. So I want it so that if any moisture does get in there, it can run to the back and out. And then I'm thinking in storage, when I park it for the winter, take off this side cover easy enough and all the goodies are right there. So no mice will want to get in there because there's plenty of light. That's the thought process. Now, here's how I got this set up. I clamped the back end right here to that foot that I was welding on earlier. I don't know if I got a video of that actually. Anyway, I welded a foot here. And there's how I did it to overcome our angle problem with the hitch. I just took a piece of angle, made it square, put a piece of 1x1 there. Back is taken care of. Now for the front, since there is more distance to cover, I went back to our 2x3. Oh, and yeah, the scrap pile is out of 1x1. That's the other reason. But that's where we're at. I'd say it looks all right from the side. Definitely looks factory, right? No, probably not. And from the front, I would say it doesn't look bad either. So let's get to welding. Okay, well, we are moving right along now, and I've got my milling machine set up in drill press mode to start drilling these plates out for our John Blue pumps. So this piece of junky looking steel came with the original, I don't want to say original, but came with that that hydraulic driven pump that I had over there. It's what they used to mount on whatever piece of equipment they had. And well, with that said, I'm just kind of looking at it here. I was thinking of setting this up as my 0-0, but the more I look at it, I think what I'm gonna do, maybe make that my 0-0 over here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Reason being is then the pump is closer to the interior of the cart, rather. And we will this is using precision right here. Okay, so I know that's lined up. Alright. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to set my 0-0. So come up here, reset this. And those, I believe, are on 4-inch centers. Had this measured out last night and then called it a day, and now this is why you write stuff down. We'll leave it at that. So anyway, I'm gonna go over, fire up the welder generator, and start punching some holes. Well, now let's take a look here at the finished product. Let's say that appears to be fairly reasonable. Compare the original. As long as that lines up, we're in good shape. Alright, so now just repeat the process on this one. Again, probably make the interior my 0 point over here, much the same, just like this. That way we have maximum distance here between the two pumps, and then they're also favoring the inside of the cart. Well, I saved you some boredom here. I mean, all I did was just weld this assembly onto the actual cart. Put a little gusset down there at the bottom. I think we're in good shape. I don't think we're going anywhere. That's stout enough. I think we're gonna be all right. Question now is, am I gonna be stout enough to get this pump up there? This thing does not look heavy, but I tell you what, looks are deceiving. I don't know. There we go. So that looks all right. And obviously we gotta take off those pieces of old plumbing, but that's how that's going to go on there. And then our other one will mount right here and be run off that brain box along with our planter population, our planter monitor, and we'll also have our strip till stuff on there as well, which will be hydraulic drive back here. All going to be controlled with ag leader modules inside that box. So, all right, I'm going to go get some bolts, throw those in, and I will be back. All right, so as always, there was a minor overlook of the details, but I think this is actually going to play out in our favor. Well, I'm just going to let you spot it. Oh my goodness. Notice anything different? Of course, I grabbed the wrong bolt. You guys are gonna watch me drop this thing yet. Well, in case you haven't, this pump is only, I don't want to say double the size of the other one. It's just bigger, right? I think it's the next size up. It was an old pump I had laying around from the side dress rig project. Got a good deal on it. Turns out it wasn't big enough for that intended purpose. Come on. But I think it's going to work nice for what we're doing here. The reason being is this pump will run the 28, which usually goes on at about 20 gallons the acre. That other product at max is probably going to be 10-ish. So honestly, I think it's going to work out in our favor that this pump is a little bit bigger. And being that we're setting this up to be variable rate, it's not like it's the end of the world, because that ag leader computer will just adjust the hydraulic flow accordingly. Well, we've got our little hydraulic drive all stripped down. We got rid of the rotation counter, or whatever you want to call it, that little deal that sits on the end of the shaft that counts how many revolutions. We don't really need that in this case. For seed drives you need it, because that's how you know for every revolution of the motor how many seeds actually drop. In this case, our computer understands how much the rate is based on the reading from the flow meter, and then adjusts this accordingly via pulse. I think they call it pulse width modulation. But at the end of the day, all I really needed off of this drive was this valve block and the actual hydraulic motor itself. Now I got a deal on these motors a while back. You saw it on that road trip, our E85 powered road trip out to Nebraska, when we got that big load of junk parts. I don't know, American Pickers, I don't know, but we got a deal, so I guess that's a good thing, right? Biggest thing here is we have this stripped down so that it is ready to go. Now what I need to do is make some sort of bracket that'll weld on here, perfectly square by the way, weld on here perfectly square, come out, oh, say till about here, and then we'll cut a slit there in the side of that bracket so that we can put tension on the chain and release tension on that chain. That's what I've got set up over here on the milling machine. Now, we're going to punch a hole in here or drill a hole, and then once we do that, we'll switch this out, put in a cutter, run a slit across here, and then once that's all cut in, then we will take it over to the air cart, weld it on, see where we're at. So now you're about to get a geometry lesson as to why it was so important to make sure our slot was cut on the right angle of this angle iron. Yeah, I know they're both right angles, but bear with me because we needed that slot to be right here because the face of that motor is going to be on this side where my hand is. The reason being for that is so that the sprocket, which will be here where my thumb is, will line up with the sprocket up top, which, like many things for this project, is in the mail somewhere. Same with your taxes. They're in the mail somewhere too. By the way, guys, this is something I learned, which is saying something, maybe. Make sure if you are paper filing, which I don't know why anyone would in this day and age, always put tracking on it, even if you get it postmarked. Because if it don't have tracking, they can say that, well, we didn't receive it, or there's no way of proving that it was postmarked. Same with any IRS correspondence. Postmarking is not good enough. Anyway, all right, so that's why we did what we did here. Now, just kind of look at it, make sure everything's lined up good. Get our square on there. I know this is square. It's pretty square to me. So, we'll go ahead and get this welded on. And yeah, then we'll get everything bolted on there, make sure everything looks good, and go from there. Alright, so we're gonna do this, try to do this rather, one go. Get my bolts ready to go, and we'll get this little hydraulic motor that weighs, I want to say it weighs a ton, but it weighs in. It's probably 30 pounds. Honestly, don't know. I know this, it weighs enough. Get it on there. I'll get our other. slide this forward for right now. So in this position, yeah, I know this the little coil is pretty close to our pump adjustment. This is pretty close as well, but keep in mind this pump is going to move that way once we get our sprockets on here, or rather sprocket up there, and then we put our chain on there and pull it back this way. As you can see, we probably have 2 inches or so of movement this way. Now, that's what the two assemblies look like. The one on the right is a John Blue, I guess it's a John Blue setup. Whatever it is, looks factory. And this over here is it's a CPA setup. That's what it is. Yeah. It's junkyard setup is what it is, but it will work for our application. So I guess the next thing is to start doing some plumbing on this, really. Plumbing for the actual fertilizer itself, coming down here and going back to where the actual planter will be. And then we also need to plumb in some hydraulics off of our tractor. So we're going to have a pressure line coming from the tractor to run all of these little gizmos here, both the hydraulic pumps. Hydraulically driven pumps, rather. They're not really a hydraulic pump. So it'll be driving these two plus the 2 seed drives on the planter, and it'll also be driving our herbicide pump. So there'll be 5 total motors, 3 motors on the actual air cart that are going to be driven off the tractor. Looking at a total of 25 gallons per minute requirement for those. The fans, there'll be 2 fans. That'll all be driven off of this, the 2 fans on the planter, and then the 1 CCS fan will be driven off of this as well, and that air compressor is also going to be driven off of this. So yeah, stay tuned.